2025 meeting of the Minnetonka Economic Development Advisory Commission. The schedule and tentative agendas can be obtained by calling the Community Development Department or by checking the city website at minnetonkamn.gov. Copies of tonight's agenda and staff reports are on the podium outside of these chambers. This meeting is televised and web streamed on the city's website. Listening devices are available upon request. If you wish to use a device, please see city staff located outside of the council chambers in the audiovisual control room. From a broader standpoint, the EDAC attempts to find a balance between the individual rights and community responsibilities as they make their recommendations. Individuals' rights are easy to understand. Community responsibilities are more subtle, but the idea is that we, as members of the community, agree to limit our individual rights for the common good of the group. The Community Development Department, the Economic Development Advisory Commission, and the City Council are responsible for managing this sometimes difficult balancing act. We ask that you keep this broader perspective in mind as we review tonight's subject matter. Before we begin, please make sure to silence all your cell phones and that they're turned off. The items on tonight's agenda include a presentation from the MCCD Open to Business, Homes Within Reach Rehabilitation Program, and the Economic Development and Housing Updates. And with that, we'll move into roll call.
Anderson?
Here.
Connors is absent tonight, and Falk is absent tonight. Haig?
Here.
Jin?
Here.
Pebbles?
Here.
And Duginski Sabalka?
Here.
Wonderful. With that, we'll move into the approval of the EDAC minutes from our last meeting on August 14th of 2025. There should be available as well on your agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And all those approved of accepting the EDAC minutes from August 14th, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. Those are passed and accepted. With that, we'll move into the bulk of our agenda here, a presentation from the MCCD Open to Business program. Welcome.
Tyler's going to be presenting.
Oh, Tyler is.
Okay. Would you like to shift to Homes Within Reach or Economic Development and Housing Updates?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can go to Homes Within Reach.
Okay,
ready?
given that our speaker's
Switcheroo.
not present, we'll move to the next agenda item and come back to the presentation of MCCD. So we'll now talk about Homes Within Reach Rehabilitation Program.
Great. So the Homes Within Reach loan program, some background here. The city has started in 2001 and has partnered with the West Hennepin Affordable Housing Land Trust, or WALT, as you'll hear it referred to as well. Since 2001, it's also known as Homes Within Reach, to provide low to moderate income families with affordable home ownership options in Minnetonka and in surrounding Hennepin County, Western Hennepin County. Currently in Minnetonka, Homes Within Reach has 67 properties. There was a Homes Within Reach repair program that was available for all owners that are within the program from 2021 to 2024. The program allowed or had a maximum funding eligibility for each household of $7,500 for eligible repairs. 23 households participated during that time period, and the reason it expired was because it was part of CDBG funding, so that was the time period it had to be done before September of 2024, so that's when the program ended. On November 10th, the staff presented a summary of the all-over general Homes Within Reach program to the City Council and provided kind of a few loan program scenarios for the council to discuss. And the council expressed interest in doing a loan program to assist homeowners who had not accessed any assistance through the city. So any of our home repair programs, that program that I just talked about, as well as those who have not pulled any permits for any kind of major repairs to their homes. And so Council requested staff draft up program guidelines for a new Homes Within Reach loan program. Some of the general feedback from council during their discussion was that council members wondered, these are just a few of the items, the rest are located in the staff report for more in-depth analysis of that. But the council members wondered if, having a program for $7,500 was, as a max, would be enough due to the price of home improvement projects. There were also some concern about those who hadn't done any work to their properties based on the information that the city had. Council members also preferred to create a loan to help those who had not accessed any funding supports through the city or pulled permit work for repair work. And then also recommended that the city reach out and educate all Homes Within Reach owners about all the funding options that are available to them as well. And so that's city funding options, state funding options, county funding options, everything that's kind of out there, doing some more outreach on that to let people know what is available for resources. And then lastly here, it was also noted that, having rehabilitation programs and doing this is a more cost-effective way for the city to invest in naturally occurring affordable housing than trying to construct new units. So with that feedback and direction from council, we created a Homes Within Reach loan program. And this program would have funding that comes from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and would total $160,000, estimating that $10,000 in home repairs per household, so increasing that from the original program, which was $7,500. And so approximately 16 homeowners would meet the eligible criteria of creating a program that is eligible to those who have not accessed any city funding programs for home repairs and who have not pulled a permit for updates in their homes. And then you can see some of the program guidelines on the slide. Income eligibility would be applicants must have a total household income of 120% or less of the area median income. And then the maximum per household for funding would be up to $10,000 for eligible home repairs, and it would be a forgivable loan type. So today there are a few discussion questions. If there's anything missing from program requirements as you read through the staff report and looked through the guidelines, as well as are there any questions or concern regarding the program guidelines themselves. And the staff is looking for, as a recommendation, is requesting that the EDIC review this, discuss it, and the proposed program provide feedback and a recommendation to the City Council. So with that, I'm done.
A question?
Yes, go ahead.
AMI for a family of four at 120% is, I think, about 160K. Is that right or close to being right?
Yes, Member Haig, that is correct. It's about 158,000.
So how do we feel about that number relative to the average owner of a Homes Within Reach family? And does that correspond? Is that on the high end, the low end, the medium end?
Yeah, so based on what we have for the information of the income of those who have purchased Homes Within Reach properties, I believe, and Alicia and Julie can help me out here, but I believe that they serve anyone below 80% of the area median income. So 120% would be the higher end, but we also know that you have to be 80% or low AMI to get into a Homes Within Reach home, but of course you can stay in that home and can be higher income as you stay in that home. And so that this would be able to reach those who maybe have been in their homes a long time and haven't necessarily needed to participate in a repair program, or because some of the programs have requirements the CDBG program funding that we used was up to 80%. So some of those those folks might not have been eligible to access the repairs previously, the repair funding previously.
So it sounds like to be eligible, you have a certain income of 80% of AMI, you buy the home, and you can increase your income up to a certain point. It's possible, not entirely likely, that you might go beyond that. That'd be great if people did, but we're encouraging people in those homes effectively, not regardless of their income, but even if they have more income than when they moved in, to really invest in those properties to preserve affordable housing. That's kind of the strategy as I understand it, yes? Great, okay, thank you.
Yeah, a couple questions and comments. I work in the affordable housing sector, so I'm familiar, and I know this, the city of Minnetonka has invested in homes within reach, and preservation of these homes is really important. So I'd really overall support this. I'm curious, is the Center for Energy and Environment going to be administering this, like our Minnetonka Home Improvement Loans program or the DPA loan program in the past?
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
So staff will be administering it. Our staff will. Okay. And the reason I ask that is I know of a CEE program that I believe the Family Housing Fund, it's their money that CEE administers, and one of the requirements is that a CEE inspector visit the house to determine eligibility prior to, sort of approving the loan request. And I just read the council comments about, is there a kind of a mechanism to ensure the properties are code compliant and there's no safe and healthy issues? So is there a way, I'm just posing, is there a way, a city inspector or something like that could visit the property to kind of, ensure that prior to the origination closing? There's one question. And the other part, just on the eligibility, I saw the gross assets of no greater than 25,000. And that's in line with some of the other, loan programs out there. I just think that at some point that needs to be increased to like 50K. I mean, that is not a lot of assets if you think about someone, who has an IRA, or, if you're including investments. I know the home equity is not in that calculation, but just some feedback there to consider. And I just think in general, the affordable housing ecosystem is good at production, but not as good at preservation of existing properties. And so I think this is a wonderful thing for the city to use these dollars for. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to one thing you were saying about the inspection. So I think it's important that we treat all programs the same way. So we don't have the inspector requirement per se. I would tell you though, when an inspector goes into a home, there are certain things like smoke detectors and life safety issues like that are mandatory anyway. I don't care if you're putting in a new furnace or you're doing some windows or whatever. If they're in your home, those things will be called out for you. So I think that does take care of some of what you're talking
It does,
about.
yeah. Assuming they pull a permit for the work.
And they can't get the money unless they pull the permit. So we were just tracking one today, right, Kendall? So that's how the money flows when the permits and everything, the inspections are completed, all of that. We do this one internally though, because it's not a lot of volume, right? It's only 16? Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, 16 loans, and it just not a lot enough to send it off to CE and have administrative fees and all of that. We'll
Makes
try
sense.
to handle it internally. Hopefully they don't all come in at once, Kendall. Yeah, it's forgivable too. That's a good point, Alicia, that, that makes a difference too. They're not making the payments. And
So DIY improvements are not eligible under Because I thought I read that materials would be eligible if it was a DIY project, and they would just need to provide evidence that they completed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can allow that, but just with proof.
Right.
Other questions? I have a question. Just what was the manner of it says that the city staff did visit every house, but you said inspections are not necessarily part of this program. Can you just speak to kind of when that occurred? And I'm curious if that's
Sure.
something that is intended to happen again, or was that more of a unique situation?
Well, again, as a homeowner, I'm not sure I want the inspector in my house, right? I mean, you have to be treating these homeowners just like you treat any other homeowner. So I'm not going to come to, the chair's house and say, hey, knock, knock, I would like to look at your house. So, so I think that's part of it, that you don't kind of step over the bounds of what, if we're invited in because there's a permit and activity going on, I think it's a fine, once over that you have and have a conversation. But to knock on people's doors and try to get in and look at what's going on, I think that's a little bit far, or at least my opinion, it's a little bit far. So then in these situations, we had, it actually was an EDAC discussion. What year was that? It was before Alicia, which is a while ago. But we went from every home to every home just to look at the outside condition to see, and you can kind of get a sense of whether or not a property is being maintained and taken care of just from the outside. I think you can get a pretty good idea. And in that, we did the same kind of exercise Kendall did for this report too, which is tracking value over time, what's the assessor saying about the condition of the house, all of those other factors. And what we found is generally pretty well taken care of from the outside. I think where the holdup has been maybe for these 16 folks is maybe they are outside the income limits for the previous, because the previous program was 80%, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if they're just beyond 80%, maybe they're at 85 and they can't get the loan, well then they're, what loan can they get that would be affordable to them? So I think there's probably a slice of people we were missing with that original program, so that had incomed out, so to speak.
No, I appreciate that. And as far as the income was right what I looked at, because I think we don't want to penalize people that are growing and enhancing themselves. And I think oftentimes, as we've looked at, affordable housing can focus on the very low margins. And so we definitely, as we've looking at like AMI at 50%, AMI at 60%, those kinds of, people that are still doing well by all means, but still need support. I think this program is a good in the middle option. Any other comments or questions? Okay. And we are looking for a recommendation. Do you need more further feedback or a vote or anything for that? Okay. So are there any motions to approve this Homes Within Reach loan program that has been proposed to us from the staff?
I'll motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay. And we'll do a roll call vote. Or
Anderson,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
Jin,
Yes.
Pebbles,
Yes.
and Duginski Sabalka.
yes. Okay, and with that, it passes. Thank you so much for the creativity in the program. We're excited to see people utilize it.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Okay.
We'll bring it back to the council. I think it's a little quick for January, perhaps February will be the time frame. Thank you.
Wonderful. With that, we'll go back to our first agenda item, the Minnesota Consortium of Community Developers presentation for Open to Business. Do we have a speaker, or how would we like to present this to?
Yes, so we've invited Tyler from MCCD here this evening to share with us the offerings that they have for Minnetonka. The city has a contract with MCCD to be the first point of contact for our businesses looking for support in the city.
Oh, you have some brochures. You can go ahead.
Do the PowerPoint from up there.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
it looks like the lights are on, the green lights are on there.
So, down here? Great. Thank you so much for having us here. My name is Tyler Hilsterbeck. I'm the Director of Small Business Development at MCCD, the Minnesota Consortium of Community Developers. You may have seen us as Metropolitan Consortium of Community Developers. We recently changed our name to recognize some of the policy work and the shared ownership work that we're doing statewide. The work that Luis Rodriguez and I do here in Minnetonka, we generally do small business work in the 7-county metro, and we've had a great partnership with the city of Minnetonka for probably 20 years or so by now, yeah. Luis Rodriguez is the business advisor that focuses in Minnetonka, and so when businesses reach out for assistance or guidance, pretty much mostly they're seeing Luis and other times members of our team. But thank you again. And I will just dive right in and talk a little bit about MCCD, our Open to Business program, how we partner and how we work with small businesses and what we're seeing in the market. MCCD is a 501c3. We're located in South Minneapolis. We have a couple of different program areas: economic development, which is what we do. We have a shared ownership group. We also do policy and advocacy. So we've got lobbyists on the team who advocate for dollars to support economic development, nonprofits, and affordable housing nonprofits throughout the Twin Cities and now the state. We're a membership organization of about 35 nonprofits, so you'll see some of the other organizations that do similar work that we do, like ADC or LEDC, NDC, a lot of acronyms, but a lot of economic development groups. They are a part of our consortium, and so when we go advocate on behalf of the economic development organizations and affordable housing, we do it as a group, and so it's not just kind of one-off organizations going at it. We are a member of Elevate Hennepin, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, which is a resource of Hennepin County. There are probably up to 35 or 40 organizations right now. The city of Minnetonka has a direct contract with us to provide enhanced services, so the first point of contact. And so we'll be on your website, and we'll be doing events and things like that around Minnetonka. So what do? We do business technical assistance, and so this is one-on-one, mostly technical advisory, where we meet with small business owners and we work with them on their unique challenge or opportunity. By virtue of the partnership that we have with Hennepin and Minnetonka, it's free to the entrepreneurs, so they can meet with us anytime that they want, and it's at no cost to them. We are looking for entrepreneurs that have a real need for service, so we're not seeing larger businesses, we're seeing really micro-sized businesses, and I think the SBA measures small business as 250 employees or less. That's way out of our league. We see employees 10 or less. Mostly, I would say 95% of who we see is 5 employees or less. And so we're really seeing a lot of businesses that are either just getting up and running or maybe have been through an operating cycle that they need assistance with some of the things that I'll get into in a little bit. We do see a lot of startup businesses, and so we see a lot of recurring needs, and so we do have some webinars and group learning opportunities to hit a lot of different folks. We just did one in the library recently in Minnetonka to just kind of talk about the ABCs of starting a business, then providing resources, really kind of giving people a compass to start their business, make sure that they're thinking about things that maybe they hadn't been thinking about before they got started or as they're getting started. All stages of development, we see businesses. I've seen business owners that won't start a business for another 5 years, and then we've seen businesses that have been, active for 10, 15 years that maybe something like COVID happens and they have to reimagine their business. So we see all stages of businesses, probably half in that startup stage and then half that have been kind of up and operating. We'll give you a third-party objective view of the business. We don't want to sugarcoat something if we think that there are real challenges. And so we'll let you know kind of where we think those challenges are and how you can get through them. There's no pre-qualifications. The only thing is we don't do investment based businesses, illegal businesses, and then we don't fund other nonprofits. And then we've got language capabilities on the team too. So while we're geographically based with our advisors, and so you'll see specific advisors on the different geographic regions, we do have language capabilities, which we ask clients on our client intake form, and then we'll match up with the advisor that's the right one for that client. And some of the things that are in the brochure that I just handed out, and I won't jump in too far into these, but these are some of the main technical advisory issues that we see. A lot of just kind of strategic planning, business planning, marketing, regulatory. We work as kind of a liaison between the client and going to the city and seeing, is this zoned correctly, or what kind of permits do we need to run this business. Lending is a big one. I'll get into that in a little bit. We're a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, and so we do lending as part of our services. And then access to governmental and community financing. So if a city has a program, like an emergency loan program, for example, we really match what that financing is best with what the client needs. And then we also help people package the loan if we're not going to do it, but they do need to prepare for like an SBA loan or something like that with a bank. We can help them with their projections or their budgeting and things like that. And then referrals to other critical professional services. We're not attorneys, we're not professional accountants. Most of us, he is, but if there's like a legal need or something like that, we'll have partnerships where we can get some pro bono help, because businesses that are starting up that are underserved don't have a lot of resources for attorneys and things like that on the startup. And so some of those partnerships are right here. We work closely with Deed on some of their lending programs. You may have seen them, the participation and the guarantee programs that Deed has. We're a partner in that. Minnesota Law Clinic. So we have biannual Q&As. So where student lawyers come in and they do Q&As with our clients. So you can ask really any question, and then you can do a follow-up consultation, half-hour consultation with an attorney. So like maybe you need a lease reviewed or you need a contract reviewed or something like that. They'll do that pro bono. Legal Corps is also pro bono. And then also, of course, City of Minnetonka and Elevate. So some other resources and things that we do. So we just finished our first Thriving Thursday in the Marsh. Thank you. I was like, okay. But we did promoted a walk-in session. So Luis, myself, and one other business advisor came in. And then we had businesses do walk-in consultations and is used as kind of a springboard to kind of meet with us further, but just provide that, kind of opportunity to do a walk-in. We also we can do office hours too. And so just really trying to make ourselves available, because kind of coming out of COVID, we've been hybrid. So doing Zoom meetings and, doing kind of in-person meetings too. We have a newsletter. So any sort of resources that we get in. So if we're hearing something, a resource that Deed is putting out, we have a monthly resource. So all of our clients can opt in to getting, that. We don't, inundate people, but we do once a month a small business resource. We have a lending information session the first and third Tuesdays of every month, where kind of the big mystery of small businesses getting financing from the front end. It can be a really daunting experience, a longer experience than a lot of small business owners are expecting. And so we do that once or twice every month, just to get introduce people to what that process is. This is, we'll do it in an hour, but this is kind of what you'll expect when you apply for a business loan. This is what you'll need to get ready. And then we have accounting and bookkeeping consultations where you can get up to 10 hours of free resources. Again, like I said, no pre-qualifications. It's free and confidential. So the CDFI portion of it, for the lending portion of it, we do predominantly two buckets of lending. We do startup lending for businesses that can't easily go into a bank and say, give me a startup loan, because the banks, are regulated. They can only really go off of operating history. And so for the startup loans, again, we're looking for businesses that either were rejected by banks or just can't go into a bank and get a loan. And so typically it's up to $50,000. Every loan's going to be a little bit different. And so if it's larger than $50,000, we'll maybe partner with another nonprofit or partner with a bank. Loan terms are pretty typical, 3 to 5 years. And then we finance pretty much anything on the, kind of inventory, working capital, equipment, leasehold improvements, startup costs. And then the second one is gap financing, which is kind of for that move-up business that maybe is looking for a little bit larger loan, that maybe are adding some equipment, maybe have the opportunity to buy the piece of real estate that they're operating in. And so in those situations, we act as a gap financer. And so what we'll do is we'll have the bank or the credit union underwrite and see what they can approve. And so that oftentimes leaves a large equity gap where, the client needs to come up with 100,000 and they've only got 50, for example. That's where we can come in and do part of that equity in form of a loan. And it's really just to get deals that, the bank likes. It's just where there's that equity gap. And so we go out and we meet bankers and, to tell them, kind of how we work in those deals. The best way to do something with us is just to actually do a deal with us, to see kind of how we work. We've got our own loan admin team and everything like that. We always take a subordinated lien position, so the banks are always in first position. And, it's just, again, to preserve that working capital. Same thing, we can finance pretty much anything business related. Our loan amounts are $5,000 to $350,000 maximum. Through the $350 is kind of a percentage of our overall loan fund. And so we're not going to be out there doing like $4 million loans. The $350 is not a huge amount, but if it's 5% of the deal, it can leverage a larger project. We can go up to 10 years loan term. For real estate deals, we can go out to 25. Interest rates were capped at 7%. That's a decision we made kind of coming out of COVID. And we saw some of the riskier finance, certainly, online, kind of credit card kind of, get up in that 20-25% range. That's what we want to get in front of and say clients don't pay that much. Even the nonprofits, can get up in that 10-12% range. And so we capped it at 7% kind of coming out of COVID. And that's where we're at right now. So competitive interest rates, 1% loan fee, no prepayment penalty. And so again, just, hopefully pretty easy to work with. Just an example of that, we had a grocery store that was looking to expand, open a second location, and then add a distribution portion and some rental property within the location. And so we helped them with their projections with the bank. And so we thought that the bank was just going to do the deal. And so we did the projections, helped them out with their budgeting. And then the bank got the appraisal back and said, we have a gap of $125,000. And so we did the gap loan as well. And then we linked the client up with bookkeeping service. We work closely with the city, and we had a big ribbon cutting, and so some good marketing exposure too. So it's not just the lending, it's kind of the ongoing technical assistance that we're really focused on. Minnetonka, so we had some year-to-date numbers. We saw 8 businesses, so again, just kind of like half and half between startups and existing businesses. Our target markets, so low-income entrepreneurs, we saw 6, BIPOC or immigrant-owned, half, and then women-owned businesses, 5. We're really all over the board on types of businesses, a lot of like retail and service businesses. For Minnetonka, there just happened to be a higher concentration of construction and real estate. And then the referral source, Minnetonka is exceeding our other cities and getting the word out. So municipality is kind of through the work of the city, but a lot of times people just go online and give us a call. And then we've got total of 49 direct technical advisory hours with clients. So on the ground, we're kind of seeing the same things that everyone's seeing: tariffs, wait and see mentality of expansion, what it's doing to cost of goods, things like that. Interest rates have eased a little bit. I think they went down a quarter point yesterday. Rental markets are very competitive. We're seeing a lot of effects of the crackdown on immigration. So like a lot of businesses that are closing or having problems getting clients, to come out physically, going to the businesses, keeping employees, kind of in place and everything like that. So real challenges for small businesses in the community going on right now. Just how to get started. Luis, again, is our business advisor. We've got our intake form on the website. Clients can go through Elevate. They can come directly to us. We try to make ourselves kind of available everywhere you turn. And so what'll happen is you'll reach out to a business advisor, fill out a 10-minute client intake form, and then we'll reach out and set up that initial meeting. And then we're off and running after that. And so sometimes we'll meet with people once and just, it'll be kind of a one meeting Q&A. And then sometimes we meet with clients over the course of years, that we kind of check in and with every, 6 months or something like that. But it's all across the board. So I will pause and thank you again for inviting us, and open to questions or.
Wonderful. Any questions from EDC? Yes.
Hi, I'm Scott Anderson, and I'm a big fan of MCCD. I'm director of lending at Twin Cities Land Bank, and so partner organization. Just a question. Thank you for the presentation. Being a CDFI, is your lending criteria kind of predicated on the CDFI investment area geographic bounds, I guess?
Yeah, so CDFIs such as ours, I think each have their own defined target markets.
Yep.
For MCCD, there are 3 categories of lending that we need to have 70% or more in. And so one of the categories is Black or Latinx business owner. The second one is low wealth or low income, and so that's 80% AGI.
80%.
And then the third one is a geographic area of underinvestment. If it's one of those 3, it doesn't have to be all 3. If it's one of those 3, then it counts as a CDFI targeted area. I take that back. It's 60% or more that we need, but we're about 80%.
Okay.
And then if you add what the state calls a SETI-owned business, a socially and economic disadvantage, which adds a few more categories, such as a woman-owned business, I think we're closer to like 92.
Great. And the reason I ask, if it's helpful to know that it can be, there's an or between each of those categories. And so for a business owner, the CDFI investment areas, doesn't cover all of the city of Minnetonka. So, but if they qualify under one of those other categories, then they're good to go. So,
Yeah.
I just think it's a wonderful service to provide business owners in our city, and but particularly that gap financing. So many small entrepreneurs or who are starting up a company do not. They're doing SBA, and there's a gap there, and so I think it's a great additional layer, and keeping the rates, still concessionary is great. So thank you.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Any other questions or comments? I'll offer just great presentation. Wonderful to get the example too of the grocery store, and then just wonderful to see exactly how you're affecting Minnetonka. You've done a great job, and we're happy to have you guys here and focusing so much on the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And with that, we'll move into the last item on our agenda. We have economic development and housing updates from our staff.
Great. So first, a few things about the light rail. Testing is continuing along the line, so you may have seen some real light rail trains running on those tracks. You cannot get aboard. That still won't happen until 2027, but currently they are making sure that the systems all work properly, and then next year they will continue to do that, and also then start to do the customer side testing and so on and so forth, but still 2027. So the picture there is an example of some of the marketing that they're doing to give people a heads up, since people are used to these trains not being active. They now need to engage the community to make sure that safety first. Another big thing is that at this point in time, essentially all the trails along the corridor are now open, all the bike trails and so on and so forth. So that's a great thing to celebrate. There's just a small segment in the Kenilworth Trail area that's not because of the tunnel. I also wanted to point out to you a chart that was shared with us a week ago here now at the Corridor Management Committee meeting that the light rail hosts, so we get a chance to hear updates from the light rail. And they shared with us the amount of transit-oriented development that's happened along the corridor. So as a reminder, transit-oriented development is high-density areas that have access to transit, walkable, so on and so forth. So you can see some pretty large numbers there. And of that, Minnetonka has 653 million, and that is about 2,000 new units since 2011. And of those, about 35% are affordable.
I'll chime in on this side. If you haven't been out to Roland Road, that is under construction. So that's the city-owned property that was sold to Amani Construction. So we are underway there, which is awesome. Greco, we have that well under construction. If you've driven by on 394, you can kind of see all the activity there. That was for senior housing, as well as, there's memory care as well as independent living as well. The Habitat Project too has some fencing up and a little bit of the site work underway, and so that has progressed a little bit. Gray Star and Marlowe, if you haven't been to Opus lately, that is like they're sheetrocking inside, so that's really close to having occupancy probably by spring, and so that will have people moving in shortly. And the Mira Villas, I think we're actually down to one site not totally constructed, so that's almost complete. Those of you who are on the tour saw a lot of it under construction, but the whole thing now is almost totally permitted. Chasewood Villas, did I hear we're almost done there today?
Almost done finally.
Final inspections of all of the updates, and that was the housing improvement area that was issued by the city. You had heard that early on, and then the council approved a bond recently for the total construction. Hennepin County Government Center, there's some work there that's getting completed. Chabad, which has been a longer project on Hopkins Crossroad, the landscaping got completed in the fall, just in time before the snow came. And then we have Walzer Kia. They have a temp CO that a certificate of occupancy. Sorry, I shouldn't talk in code. I've been hanging out with the inspectors too much. Certificate of occupancy. There are some challenges with their lighting on their parking ramp. They've had some faulty equipment and programming, so we've been working with folks to be a little patient. They'll have it programmed properly where the lights on the ramp will turn off at night. So just a public service announcement there. We are working on it. Wells Fargo, that is by Ridgedale. If you haven't seen what's going on there, it's really exciting. And building 2 is underway. And if you didn't know, Marshall's, where Barnes & Noble's was, Marshall's is moving to the space where Barnes & Noble was in the Ridge Square area. So exciting to see that redo, and I'm not sure of the timing on that one. That might take a while. That's a pretty strong build out. So I think, am I done with my projects, or do you have another slide?
I think that's it.
That's it? One page. Awesome. I'm done. I'm done. Oh,
You can also chime in if need be for the Zone Co update. So just a brief overview. We've talked about this, given an update multiple times throughout the last year, but Zone Co was hired or engaged with the city to do a diagnostic analysis in 2023 to look at the city's zoning code. And so that happened in 2023, and in 2024, towards the beginning of 24, they presented that diagnostic report with kind of a menu of possible solutions and presented it to the council, and the council decided to pursue a full rewrite of the zoning ordinance. And so this past year, Zone Co staff has met with city staff as well as community working groups they met twice, maybe a few more, but I think it was twice this year, and there were multiple surveys that were also conducted to get input from the community throughout the year as well. And so now we're anticipating to receive some draft language of the rewrite sometime this winter from Zone Co. So hopefully here soon we'll have more information and updates.
yeah, I think we're planning a zoning work group meeting, online meeting in January, just to provide an update. Your liaison was Lee Jacobson. So Lee is kind of representing the economic development aspect of zoning, and so he is there participating. So we thought, though, that we'll give the updates here, but just know that he's in the background on your behalf participating. Yep. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you, Julie. To some housing updates now, starting with the rental registration program. It has now been, we're through year 2 now. So it's moving forward, doing good. We also, before I get into this, we're doing a lot of communication with our property managers by sending out monthly newsletters with information in the city and general information for property managers and landlords. So that's been good as well. So in 2025, we've had 541 total registration. This includes 248 new registrations and 293 renewals. So we continue to get new registrations as people learn more about the program and the requirements and get their rentals registered. 522 were registered as long-term rentals, so more than 30 days, and then 19 were registered as short-term. You can see kind of the breakout on the side there of kind of the distribution between apartment, condo, single family, a unit within a single family home, and townhome units there. So most of our rentals are in condo and single family, as you can see. Moving on to homelessness initiatives. The chart there is looking mostly at, specifically at the Homelessness Response Program, which is a partnership with His House Foundation. And so far into 2025, the whole program, these are full totals, about 102 residents, about 53 households. 27 have been referred to His House from the police department, from Minnetonka Police, 9 households from Minnetonka Schools, and then 11 households have been referred to shelter to get help and support, and then 7 households have been referred to mental health or substance abuse assistance to help them, and then 8 households were provided direct coordinated entry assistance to get them into that network. And looking at the encampment policy, we've spoken about this before. Staff brought this to a city council study session in July of this year. And so with feedback from city council from that study session, we are looking to bring the policy back to the council in early 2026. So that'll be coming up here soon. Additionally, we have one homeless transitional unit, which is located at the Vale Apartments. And so starting this fall, we've had one person, I believe, so far in that transitional unit. This is done in partnership with His House Foundation. And we did receive a local housing trust fund grant from the state of Minnesota for $150,000, which will go to supporting the rent and utility costs of that transitional unit. In addition, just putting in emergency rental assistance under this category as well, mostly because His House Foundation administers the program for us. So they have $50,000 in rental assistance that they're using as part of their preventative homelessness work. And they get referrals a lot from ICA as well for that rental assistance. The Pathways to Homeownership program is one of our down payment assistance programs, and we have had this program since the fall of 2023. It provides up to $75,000 to eligible home buyers earning up to that 120% AMI. I know we've looked at this a lot, but just to give some more background, it is a 0% interest rate with 5% of the loan being forgiven annually. So the borrower will repay anything that remains if the property is sold before the 20-year term of the loan. The property supports a higher level of financial aid to help with the high cost of homeownership in the city. Right now, we just found out recently that the program is currently out of funding for 2025. So going into 2026, 3 weeks, I know, we almost made it to the end of the year. But yeah, and then looking at some demographic data, 4 of the borrowers were female heads of household. The kind of average borrower age is about 37. The average income of the borrowers was a little over $100,000. 9 households identified as their race as white, and 2 identified as Black or African American, and 1 household identified their ethnicity as Hispanic Latino. And then you can see in the chart there a breakout of how many loans have been completed. And so since we found out after this staff report was done, there'll probably be 12 this year as well, since they either did 1 or maybe it'll be 13. We'll see. We'll find out. But yeah, you can see we've increased over the years, so that's good. And last one, we kind of talked a little bit about villas at Chasewood, the HIA. The construction, as stated, is nearly complete. Bonds were issued on December 2nd. And the final construction cost came in lower than estimated, so that was good for those who will be paying the HIA fee. And in addition, the city did receive 50 prepayments, so that impacted the bond as well. And so right now we're working on refunding the overpayments right now. And yeah, that's what I have.
Well, I want to start by wishing, I hope you all had a great holiday in November. I hope you all had a great Small Business Saturday. Some of the outreach that we've been doing in the community lately is, as Tyler mentioned, we hosted our first ever Thriving Thursday. So this is a new event series that Elevate Hennepin started, I believe in July, sometime this summer they started, and every month they're going to a different city and bringing advisors along to do those consultations that are always available to business owners in Minnetonka, but in this case doing it in person. So as Tyler mentioned, we did that at the Marsh with our MCCD crew, and I've already spoken with the county with the intent to host another one of these events again in 2026. So trying to get our city early on the list for next year. We also are going to continue our Minnetonka Business Council series next year. Most recently, we had our fire chief come and speak. That was for our December meeting. And we're also exploring new ideas for this event series. So we plan to send out a survey sometime after the holidays when people's lives have hopefully calmed down a little bit to hear more about what the business community is interested in hearing about, and if they have other ideas, open to even changing the format. So we'll see what's to come, open to ideas. We also have our next issue of Thrive that will be coming out in the deepest, darkest parts of winter here. And there's a picture there on the right-hand side from our Love Local campaign. So in our last issue of Thrive, we were celebrating our small businesses, of course, and invited people, if they haven't already received a Love Local window cling that they can put on their business, to reach out and get one of those. So this is an example of a business that reached out, and it was a great opportunity to stop by businesses and support the work that they're doing.
That's all she wrote for tonight.
Okay, wonderful. So upcoming events, our next meeting will be on January 15th. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
And just a reminder, the mayor's open house for his recognition is 3 to 5 on Tuesday next week. And so if you're available to come, the actual presentation, there will be like a little program at 4 o'clock.
Wonderful.
And so if you're able to come, great. If not, I'm sure he'd love to hear from you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I should ask, any other items to address? No? Okay, with that, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
With that adjourned. Thank you.